Third video for the night, even though I'll be uploading one each day. Hi, there's me and the Nexus, because the Nexus shoots nice 4K. I like the dual flashes. I love the dual flashes, actually. It's so nice looking. Anyway, basically, this video has got to do with a little thing that people say, and that is that this is right after I just did that video as well about the flex outside and shit, so that PC's still on for some reason. Anyway, and the debate is 18, 15-inch subs are sloppy and not good sound. What's the word? Sloppy and not musical. That could not be more wrong in any way. Any sub can be sloppy. Any sub can be... finally it slept. Any sub can be sloppy, and any sub can be dead accurate. It's got a fair bit to do with the driver. It's got absolutely jack shit to do with the size of the driver. Now, one thing you can look at... There's many things. Let's start off with the driver itself. Bigger drivers with smaller coils tend to be lazy because they have less actual motor force to push the coil. These subs have 4-inch voice coils, whereas an 18, and this wouldn't exist, otherwise it'd be fully retarded and probably like 100 watts. An 18-inch sub with a 1 or 2-inch voice coil, yes, would be sloppy, unless it had a retardedly powerful magnet and the coil material in that was so high quality, it would be sloppy, yes. Different speakers are used for different things, but they aren't necessarily punchy or sloppy. 18-inch subwoofers definitely hit much lower than, say, a 6.5-inch subwoofer, but that doesn't make them sloppy. One thing that also stops subs from being sloppy is the magnet force, the quality of the coil, the size of the coil, the build materials, the weight of the cone, things like that. If you have an extremely heavy cone, it's very hard to push that out and pull it back extremely quick and extremely far, whereas if you have a lightweight cone, that can be a very simple task. Now, the other thing, it's got nothing to do with the speakers. It's got to do with the dampening factor of the amplifier. The higher the dampening factor, the better the amplifier can actually push the subs below, say, a frequency of about 150 Hz, where the subs have to start moving a lot more than they would at, say, 150 Hz and above, where they're doing 150 of them extremely quick, back and forward. Whereas below that, doing much bigger movements and much less time. So basically, the dampening factor, the higher the dampening factor means the more accurate the sound, or the better the amplifier can control the speaker. Say an amp with, and I can't really tell you off the top of my head dampening factors. My S5 just went off. Say an amplifier with a dampening factor with 100 would be a very sloppy sounding amplifier. And you could put on some really tight and accurate, even 6s with top of the line stuff. They would sound sloppy on an amplifier with a really low dampening factor, whereas, say, an amplifier, like I know that Phonic amp has a dampening factor of 300, and that's fairly accurate with these subs. Now, these are accurate subs I've had on much higher dampening factor amps, but they still sound very accurate on this 300 this amplifier with a dampening factor of 300. The Serwin Vega amplifier has a dampening factor 350, and the other amp I looked at, which I was kind of obviously I ended up with the two Serwin Vega amps, but there was another one which was the D Acoustics, and it was a massive 4.2k amp, and it required a power con, and it was like a 3U, and it weighed 46 kilos. It was absolutely retarded, and it was $1,500 for the one amplifier. It had a dampening factor of 620. Now you compare that with something of a dampening factor of 100, and then it's got nothing to do with the speakers. The amplifier is actually what's making the speakers punchy. So that's just it. Saying, oh, you have big 18-inch subs, your sound system must sound extremely sloppy. Well, I'm telling you, with an amplifier with a dampening factor of 300, these are still extremely tight and accurate. So in Vega, will be a small improvement on it again, but that's it. Size... and this applies in a lot of things, size does not matter. You can have 18-inch subs, you can have 3-inch subs. I get a good quality woofer and a good quality amplifier, and the 18 can be just as punchy as that 3. You get a good quality amplifier for the 18, you get a shitty little amp for the 3, and you'll find the 3 could be sloppier than the 18. and the 3 wouldn't be able to play anywhere near as low. So that's basically the little rant on sizes equaling sloppy. No. It's got to do with the build of the sub, the quality of the components in the sub, and most importantly, the amplifier. Amplifier, in my opinion, is the most important part of the setup. If you don't have an amplifier, well, you can't hear anything. Same with I guess the speakers as well. Everything in the setup's most important, but if you can't physically amplify the sound, I don't know. Then again, if you didn't have it that I just made that up on the spot, so let's just pretend that didn't happen. Basically, yeah, that's the wrap.